This video is in affiliation with Collingwood Insurance, but more on them later. Today I'm going to talk about the gas pedal, also known as the accelerator pedal, the throttle pedal, and sometimes I like to call it the loud pedal, but it probably should be called the tricky pedal because it's all too easy to try and give a small amount of gas and have the revs fly up to 3,000 or 4,000 RPM. So I'm going to break this video down into two parts. This is part one, and in this video I'm going to talk about controlling the gas pedal, but in part two I'm going to compare the gas pedal in different cars. The first thing you've got to get right when it comes to controlling your gas pedal is your foot position. I recommend putting your heel further back from the pedal because if your heel is very close, you're having to lift your foot up high at the top here, and that really strains this part of your leg. Whereas if you bring this heel back a little bit, you can still reach the gas pedal no problem, but because you've got a lot more articulation in your foot, it's easier. Also, if you move your foot a bit to the left of the gas pedal, your foot's on its side, and at the moment I'm not actually having to put any effort into keeping my foot up at the moment at all. If my foot's here, I'm actually having to lift it and strain this part of my leg, but when it's like this angle, it's very relaxed and I'm not pressing the pedal. You'll find quite often there'll be an indentation in the carpet. There isn't on this car simply because it gets driven by many different people, so the carpet wears, or the mat wears quite evenly, and this isn't actually a very old mat anyway, it's only about 10,000 miles old. So around about here, but this also allows you to get to the brake pedal very quickly too. You want to be square over the brake because that's a pedal that you may want to press hard, but you don't need to be square over the gas. If, however, you have smaller feet, you may have to do this, but that is a lot harder. These shoes are size 8. Normally they are size 9, but in this brand they seem to be size 8. That's UK sizes, if you're interested. Now, the reason why the gas pedal can be hard is because there is a delay in you pressing the gas pedal and the engine speed actually increasing. You can see engine speed increasing if you have a tachometer, also known as a tach or a tacho, this thing here, not to be confused with this speedometer. In this car it's annoying, it's got 10, 20, 30, so it looks like your speed, but no, that means 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 RPM. That's how fast your engine is spinning. If I press the gas pedal, you can see the engine speed increase as I come off the gas. It goes down to just below 1,000 RPM. Most four-cylinder cars are going to rev around about 800 RPM when they're just switched on without using the gas pedal. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do what a typical learner does. And what a typical learner does is they press the gas gradually. Worst thing you can do, because by the time you hear the engine, you're giving enough gas so that the engine's revving at 3,000 RPM, which is too much to move away. And if you're wondering why I say gas so much in this video, because I get a lot of comments, people saying, you know, I'm British, I shouldn't say gas. Driving instructors say gas because it's quick. It's one of the reasons why I say loud sometimes as well, because it's just as quick, but it's a change, makes a difference to my day job. So I'm going to show you now. I'm going to do what a learner does. I'm going to press it gradually, and by the time I hear the engine, I'm going to stop increasing the pedal and keep it steady. Then we'll see how high these revs actually get. So I'm just going to go by sound. I'm not going to look at the tach. I'm going to look over there. I'm going to start pressing it now. You can hear it now, holding it steady. Still going up. Let's have a look at that tach. It's still going up. I'm not pressing the gas anymore. Still going up, and I think it's just about got there. It's got to 3,000 RPM. What I recommend you do when you use the gas is to press it a little bit and wait, because the engine needs time to catch up with your foot. Whenever I get in a car I don't know, I don't just plonk my foot on the gas and lift the clutch up. I'm very careful. I'll probably press the pedal about that much. A lot of people say about the thickness of a pound coin, which is about right, but it does differ in many cars. But I'll do it in variations normally of about a thickness of a pound coin until I get it where I want it to be. So I'll press it about the thickness of a pound coin now, and then I won't increase it anymore. I'll wait and then see where the revs get to, because it will take time for the engine to catch up. I'll press it now. There you go, thickness of a pound coin. It's building up. And this car's quite responsive actually. It didn't take too long. It's still building up a bit though. And it's got to around about 1,800. It's going there. And you'll find that it will gradually, even when it gets to where you think it's finished, it will gradually just increase a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit over a long period of time. Don't worry about that. If you try and adjust that, you'll be there all day. I mean, right now it's at 2,000, and I thought it stopped at 1,800 earlier. I don't think it's going any higher than that, but I'm not going to adjust that really slow increase. If I wanted less, I'll reduce it by maybe half of the thickness of a pound coin now, because obviously if I come off a thickness of a pound coin, I'm going to have 0. So just a tiny bit less. There it is, and see what happens. It should go down a bit now. There you go, slowly going down. You see it's tiny movements and a long period of time. I'm not lifting my foot anymore. Hopefully you can see on camera it's staying the same, and that is still coming down. So press the pedal a bit and wait. If it's not enough, press it a little bit more and wait. If you're roughly where the revs need to be, don't mess about. Just hold it steady. If it keeps rising a little bit, let it rise a little bit. As long as it's not going 2,500, 3,000 RPM, you're fine. That's why I say to people, between 1,000 and 2,000 RPM is fine, because trying to get the revs exactly where you want it to be every time you move away, well, it's probably not going to happen. When I said about the thickness of a pound coin, I am being rough. I don't expect anyone, including myself, to know exactly how much a thickness of a pound coin is when I press the gas pedal. It's just trying to describe to you exactly how small of a movement you need to make. And that's why when I gave some gas that time, I actually got 2,000 RPM. Now I'm quite good actually at getting 1,500 RPM in this car, because I've owned it for nearly 7 years. It'll be 7 years next month. But I was just trying to do exactly what I was saying on camera, press it a certain amount and wait, as a learner or a new driver to this car would. It's not a precise thing setting the gas. Give yourself a broad spectrum of around about 1,000 RPM when you're setting it. Don't try and get it exactly where you want it to be. However, having said that, do try to keep the revs below 2,000 RPM if you can when you're trying to move away, because if you're moving away with more than 2,000 RPM regularly, you are going to wear your clutch more quickly. Using the gas pedal is a skill, and you improve skills with practice. So to get better at the gas, the best thing you can do is practice. I recommend practicing with the handbrake up, neutral, engine running, and just sit there and play with it and try and get it steady where you want it to be. Don't be exact, as I said earlier, within 100 RPM. Maybe set yourself a goal to get 1,500 RPM within 100, so 1.4 to 1.6, like that there. And if you want to make it harder, you can take it a step further by giving yourself a time limit, maybe get to roughly 2,000 within 5 seconds. Doing that when you're not moving will help you improve more quickly, because when you're driving, you're using the gas to move away, and then it's 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes before you get to do it again. But if you do it when you're not moving, you're constantly at it, you're building up muscle memory and you're concentrating down your practice into a smaller period of time. When I get a new customer, I don't get them to drive straight away. I get them to get some experience with that gas pedal first at the side of the road with just the engine running. Just 5 minutes of doing that can be the equivalent to a whole 2-hour lesson of doing it whilst you're driving. Moving away is the trickiest part of the gas. Once you get going, it gets easier, and the higher your gear, the easier it gets. However, if you're in a low gear, you have more potential to accelerate quickly due to torque multiplication. But the higher your gear, the easier it is to maintain a steady speed and the gas becomes less sensitive. What I want to explain now though is that how fast you can accelerate is not just down to your gear. Lower gears give you more acceleration, yes, but how high your revs are. So at the moment my revs are around about 1,500. I've just come into a 40. I'm going to add 20% gas and see what happens. And it accelerates by about that much. But if I was to add that much extra gas when the revs were say 3,000 or 4,000, the car would accelerate much more quickly. So it's important to understand that the amount of acceleration you're going to get when you add gas is going to vary depending on what gear you're in and how high your revs are. The higher your revs, the more power you have, and the lower your gear, the more power you have. Don't think putting it into a higher gear is going to give you more power. It's not. It's going to increase your economy and make controlling and maintaining a steady speed easier. Many new drivers struggle with maintaining a steady speed. They'll tend to accelerate and decelerate, accelerate and decelerate. But just like when you're practicing setting the gas when you're not moving, you need to be patient. You need to give the engine time to catch up with your foot. So press it a little bit and it will accelerate. And if you want to maintain a steady speed, reduce it a little bit and wait. And if it's still accelerating, reduce it a little bit more. If it starts decelerating, then you know you can increase it a bit more. It does take patience and a lot of concentration, which is why I actually am a major fan of cruise control, particularly in speed limits like 30 when you've got a clear open road, because you can concentrate on the road more and don't have to keep looking at your speedo to make sure you're staying within the limit. So I think using cruise control on the whole makes me safer. I don't recommend using cruise control in areas where you have to speed up and slow down a lot. For example, where there's a lot of parked cars. Where cruise control can be really helpful is when you're on a road where you can maintain a steady speed, particularly near the speed limit. It's safe enough to do the speed limit, and that speed limit feels slow. So therefore, cruise control can help you stay within the speed limit whilst you focus on the road, instead of having to constantly flick down at your speedometer to make sure that you're staying within the law. Well, that's the end of part one. I hope this video helps. If you think it does, please give it a thumbs up and check out Collingwood and Confused in the description. Collingwood are great if you're learning to drive and want to insure yourself on a friend or family member's car, because you can do so without affecting their policy and without risking their no claims bonus, which can take away a big stress when it comes to practicing with friends and family. There are short-term policies available and long-term policies. If you cancel a long-term policy, you are entitled to a pro rata refund for what you haven't used. If you use the link in the description, there's up to 35% off and a £20 Amazon gift card. Also, using that link does support this channel, so thanks very much. If you want to insure your own car, I recommend checking out confused.com. What's great about confused.com is you fill out one quote form online and then you get many quotes back from different insurers. And what's even better is you can adapt that quote. So you can change the vehicle on that quote as many times as you like without having to fill out the whole thing again. So you can compare how expensive it is or how cheap it is to insure different cars. Using the link does support this channel. So again, thanks if you use that link. If you want my future videos, please subscribe. And until the next one, cheerio.